Hey, Bougie Gang, what's going on? How's everybody today? Let me see who got here first. Yes. Hi, sweet aces. What's going on? Jammin', J Jammin', Jammin'. How's it going? How's it going? Hi, karaoke tube, karaoke tube. What's going on, everybody? Tap in as you come in. Tap in as you come in. Guys, let's get caught up on what's been going on today. There was a lot going on today. I can't even begin to tell you everything that's been happening today, but we're going to get into a couple of things. Miss B, I see you. So, some of you guys may not have caught last night. Last night, we did almost 4 hours of reading. At least I did. The hearing regarding the motion to suppress. Y'all, I was so tired today. I could not even get myself together. I did a live first thing this morning, and I don't know, by the time it was over, I had to go lay down. I don't know. I think it's still part of my allergies from last week type of thing. I'm still getting over it. But anyway, I'm here now, and I'm definitely got myself a little bit more together. But yeah, it's like lingering. I think that was, like I told you, my family got different symptoms than I did. But anyway, so I was kind of keeping up with what was going on today. So the verdict did come in on the Sean Grayson case, the killing of Sonya Massey. That was just such a horrible situation that happened. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with the like the live tweeting or just the news updates. I've been keeping up with the news updates. I mean, I'm going to just say I wasn't really worried. I felt like the world is changing a little bit and seeing like, okay, wrong is wrong and right, right is right and wrong is wrong, right? He did get convicted of um second degree murder, and he has not yet been convicted, has not yet been sentenced, which that's going to happen, I guess, in sometime in January. But baby, they were going to really have to prove. I mean, there were some things that he did that I think could have given him first degree, absolutely. But the jury had the discretion, I guess, for lesser included, and that made it, at least, because we've seen in the past it's kind of all or nothing, and if they don't see it, then you're sipping on turmeric milk. Okay. I feel like, what is that good for? Is that for like stomach problems, for digestion or something? But yeah, I feel like, I mean, we don't know what he's going to get. He might get on the high side. He could get on the low side. I'm not really sure. I guess we're going to just have to take it how it goes. But let's take a look at what happened today. We'll just play it like this. Let me move my avatar a little bit. All right, let's get into this. We're just going to get caught up on some of what happened today. I appreciate y'all coming in and tapping the thumbs up for me. It would be so nice if we were over 100. We have 176 here, and if 20 more people would just double tap on their screen, that would be lovely. So if you came in and you forgot, or you were like, wait a second, hey girl, and didn't get a chance to handle that business yet, please handle that business for me, because likes do matter. Okay, let's get to it.
For the family of Sonya Massey and the trial of former Sangamon County Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson, who was found guilty of second-degree murder this afternoon. A very emotional day for the family of Sonya Massey and for Sean Grayson. In fact, we are about to hear now from their attorney, Anthony Romanucci, and some members of Sonya Massey's family.
You know what? Before we get into this, I kind of played this in the wrong order. Let's do this first. CBS, the local, not the local, but national CBS channel filed this report. You'll this reporter may be familiar to you if you guys were watching the Diddy coverage. Um just a second, let me pull her up real quick. Let's look at this first and then we'll see what the family had to say. I think I'm sure they're happy it's over. I'm sure that it's probably one of those that better than nothing, like, okay, it's better than absolutely the worst. It's not what we hope for, but it's better than absolutely nothing. So,
First, we begin with that breaking news. Former Sheriff Deputy Sean Grayson has been found guilty of second-degree murder in the death of Sonya Massey. Back in 2024, Grayson shot and killed Massey while responding to her 911 call about a prowler. Now, Grayson says he shot Massey in self-defense, fearing she would throw a pot of boiling water at him. But prosecutors say Grayson...
You know what I want to say real quick is that when you watch the body cam footage of this situation, I never really understood how how it went from they were outside talking to her and that they ended up in the house. I don't know if she let them in the house or they asked to be let in the house, but I'm just I she was nervous about something. I think she was in crisis and she was nervous. She thought there were some prowlers outside. I'm just still kind of like, I'm the type of person, I'm gonna talk to you outside. I'm gonna step outside. I'm gonna talk to you outside, right? And then she was looking around for her wallet. I just feel like, I'm just gonna say it. I feel like he provoked the whole incident, and not from I mean, he definitely escalated it because that whole last couple of minutes was just unbelievable how it went down. But from the entry into the home, I feel like was his idea. From the have a seat and find your ID, again, she called for services. Okay, I get sometimes you do have to give your ID, right? Then she's looking for her through her purse, and then he says to her, "Don't you have something boiling on the stove?" Like, you directed her to the stove. Clearly, it's steaming. So all she really needed to do was turn off the stove rather than, I don't know if he instructed her to take the pot off the stove, or she could have just turned the stove off, or the other officer could have just said, "How about I go turn off the stove for you?" I don't know. It was just weird. It was just almost like a situation where I don't even know. It was just very weird. The whole situation was just, why are y'all in the house? Why did you send her over to the kitchen? All you needed to do was check her ID for whatever reason. You guys checked the bedroom. Nobody's there. Everything is fine. Leave. But because, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just was bad. The lady really didn't need to die that night at all. There was nothing that she did to provoke what happened to her other than people being in her home and there being like a lack of understanding. I don't even want to say a misunderstanding. I feel like it was just a complete lack of understanding and not understanding. It was just a complete, like, it was a mess. It was just awful. And he was just the wrong person to be over there. I felt like when he was entering the home, he was saying some slick stuff outside. I think that was him because it was him and another person. And somebody said something slick as they were entering the home. I think she was taking a minute to answer the door and he made some sort of slick reference and it just went downhill from there. It just was a mess. So he deserves everything that he gets. And it was just awful.
could have left Massey's home rather than shooting and killing her. We want to show you body cam footage of that interaction, which may be disturbing to some viewers.
Where you going?
Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
That's where you got to shoot your face.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Drop it. Pop.
All right, we want to go live to Jerika Duncan outside of the courthouse in Pew.
Did he even know what that meant? I just felt like, well, what did rebuke you in the name of Jesus meant to you? What did that say to you? He took it as a threat. That was just the strangest thing to me. And then immediately he says, I'm going to shoot you in your face. What police training was that?
Peoria, Illinois. Jerika, you were there when the verdict was read. What was the reaction in the courtroom?
It was emotional inside that courtroom. You could see tears from both the Massey family as well as Grayson's family when that verdict was read guilty on the second-degree murder charge. Now, of course, Grayson was facing a first-degree murder charge, which could have had him in prison for the rest of his life. With this second-degree murder charge, he's facing, we're told, anywhere from 4 to 20 years behind bars. But there are things that still obviously need to be worked out at sentencing, which as of right now is January 29th of next year in Sangamon County, not here in Peoria County. But I can tell you that as I looked at Grayson's face, he was pretty stoic. He was looking straight at the judge. After the bailiffs came and they handcuffed him, he was looking for his family, or what appeared to be him looking for his family. His family had already left the courtroom, but there was clearly a moment where the judge thanks the jury, understanding that the video that they looked at twice in this trial was very graphic, very disturbing. He thanked them for their service, and everyone sort of went out on their way. But the process in of itself took about 5 minutes. The jurors came in, they announced the verdict, and that was it.
It's my understanding they deliberated for a total of 6 hours and then came up with this verdict. Have you heard from Sonya Massey's family?
So Sonya Massey's family, when I spoke to them before, they said, you know, the best they were hoping for, at least one of the family members said, was that first-degree murder conviction. They understood that second-degree murder was on the table, but of course they did not want Grayson to be acquitted on all charges. So they said they had mixed feelings going in. I have not gotten a chance to speak to them just yet. We ran right outside of this courthouse to set up to obviously bring you this breaking news. But I can tell you, having met with this family almost a year ago, that it's been very challenging for them. It's something that they can't shake. You know, they will always sort of be attached to this graphic video that has been seen around the world. I was listening to Sonya Massey's, I think she's 16. I know she said she's in the 10th grade, 15 or 16-year-old daughter, just speak about how much she missed her mom and how her life has changed drastically as a result, because she's the girl who, oh, your mom was killed by that police officer. So I think the family, I can't imagine what they've been through. And then when I think about Sean Grayson's family, I was actually sitting behind them yesterday for closing arguments, and it was clear that they've been torn apart by this too. When the defense was talking about how Sean Grayson was justified in what he did and he followed policy by the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office, you could see family members of his looking at the jurors kind of in that direction and shaking their head, almost to say, yes, you see, like, he did what he was supposed to do. He didn't do anything wrong. When the defense attorney mentioned that it was Sonya Massey who sort of escalated the situation, were the words that the defense attorney used, you could see again Grayson's family shaking their head like, yes, if there wasn't a pot involved, and I guess in their opinion, their family member, Sean Grayson, did not feel threatened, none of this would have happened. But of course, the prosecution sees this completely different and said that this has to do with someone who, in the words of the prosecutor, was a bully, they said, who didn't like not being in control and did not respond the way that he should have in a case like that. So you have families that have obviously been torn apart by this tragedy, but there
also his partner said he didn't feel threatened by what Sonya Massey said. The only reason why he pulled his gun is because his partner, Grayson, pulled his gun, and the training is if your partner has their weapon drawn, like you're supposed to pull yours too. But he was still trying to understand like what was actually going on because he didn't feel that there was a threat based on what she said. I mean, just because the defense attorney said that he was following policy, just keep in mind that what the prosecutor says and what the defense attorney say, that's not evidence. Evidence is the evidence. Just because his lawyer says that he was following policy doesn't mean he was following policy. The policy is the evidence, right? And there's nothing about the policy that he was following. That's why Sangamon County ended up paying the family a pretty hefty settlement. And also they escalated it to him being, he didn't come sitting there with charges by accident. Like, to me, I would be like, if he was following policy, he wouldn't be here in the striped suit. He wouldn't be facing charges if he was following policy. So clearly he was not following policy. That's why we're all here today, right? There's a question of that. So yeah, just because the defense attorney says something, that doesn't make it true. He's just trying to win for his client.
Will be a sentencing, which is the next step in this. We don't know yet if there's any plans to appeal this verdict, which sometimes you see, but there will be a sentencing in January.
Jerika Duncan, thank you for your observations. Appreciate it. We want to bring in CBS News senior crime and public safety producer Anna Schechter. Anna, let's talk about this. Grayson not guilty of first-degree murder, but guilty of second-degree murder. So what does that verdict tell you?
Well, it tells me that the jury was convinced by Sean Grayson's testimony on the stand that he felt threatened by that pot of boiling water, that they thought that was a mitigating factor.
But he directed her to go to the stove. I think he was the one who told her to go take the stove off the pot or go turn off the stove. I mean, if you've got a gun, if you're ready to pull your gun, you need to have some very specific directions for people in their home. But also, the other thing is that they had been there for service earlier in the day. Now, we don't know if that came out or not because we weren't able to witness the trial, but she had already been there earlier for service. She'd already been ID'd. I don't know if any of those two had been there earlier in the day. Maybe the other one had been, or at least dispatch knew that this was the second time that service had been rendered that day. And why did she need to be ID'd again? Clearly she's in crisis. And I think nobody even offered her any services from earlier. And I think she was known to be someone who had some issues. So you've already been there today. You know that you're talking to the right person. She's already been identified. You probably can look up in the system to see she's got an identification and match up the picture. There's ways to ID somebody without physically seeing their ID, right? And I always just go back to, why were y'all in that lady's house? Why did y'all come in the house? And I think she wanted, I don't know. It just still wasn't clear to me why they felt they needed to enter the home. Because had they never entered the home, none of this would have ever happened. There was no reason in that call. She never said she thought there was someone in the house. She thought there was someone outside the house.
We all watched that body cam footage. We all saw him.
And then also people have to remember too, hopefully the jury was remembering, they weren't in the house and IDing her because she'd done something wrong. She was calling for service. She needed help. She was in crisis. She was maybe feeling paranoid. Maybe she thought she heard something. She was, I don't know, whatever the reason was why she felt like she needed to call the police for help should have been a clear indication that this was not someone who'd done anything wrong. She was calling for services.
Pull the trigger and shoot her and cause her death. But the question at hand, was there a reasonable impression on his part that he was in danger. And so to me, this second-degree murder charge with a sentencing guideline that caps at 20 years instead of that life, to me, this means that the jury was convinced that he did feel threatened and convinced enough that they brought that charge down to the second-degree murder.
Grayson testified, as you mentioned. Do you think that helped him?
I do think that it helped him. I think that the body camera video was so damning. It was actually, it shocked the entire country. That video went viral even outside of this country. It ripped apart.
Well, what was shocking was him saying, don't waste your kid. That's a shot to the head. She's, like she's guaranteed dead already. Don't bother. That was a shock. Him making that slick comment going in the door was also showing the wrong attitude. I feel like they made a few comments about her home being not tidy. I just feel like it was just a recipe for disaster from the minute that they pulled up.
The community, it caused new training to be implemented at the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office, a bill that was signed into law in Illinois. So that was all in the prosecution's favor. So him taking the stand and testifying to his state of mind, even if he didn't do a perfect job, at one point he started talking about using a taser, and he thought that the taser darts might not get through her clothing, and that's why he fired the gun. When I was seeing that, I didn't know how a jury would react to that, but clearly it worked. Now, of course, it is rare for a law enforcement official to be convicted of something like this, of second-degree murder. So, he didn't get off, but certainly that sentencing guideline is significantly lower than the first-degree murder.
I just think that his lawyer decided to use kind of a Karen type defense, and that man was not scared. That man he was big and buff. Homeboy looked like he stayed at the gym, that if he wasn't working, he was over there doing CrossFit or something. He was not scared at all. I don't buy that for a minute. I think his lawyer was just looking for some sort of defense. This guy looks like he eats 3-pound steaks every day and is at the CrossFit gym. There's no way he was afraid of this lady at all. And how are you afraid when you told someone to go into the kitchen and handle what they have in their hand? You told her to go and handle that pot because it was boiling, and you should have specifically said, yeah, don't touch it, just turn it off. That's it. Like, it was just such a lack of communication. He might have been mad he was supposed to be at work that night. We don't really know, but that his actions have had him in jail for quite a long time. Now he's got a guilty sentence. Let's see what the family has to say. I mean, I'm glad for the family that they got some sort of resolve, because once upon a time this would go, this could have gone a very different way. So hopefully he's going to get the max penalty. And also, I think he's been suffering from cancer. Didn't he have a cancer diagnosis or something? I don't know if he's been getting his treatments or not. But the judge would probably say you should have thought about that before you did what you did, type of thing. So anyway, this is the family outside the courthouse and with their lawyer. So we'll see what their remarks are. Just a second. This is the local station.
They had just walked out of the courtroom in Peoria where the trial took place, wrapping up a week after it started. The jury coming to their verdict after starting their deliberations yesterday. They were given the choice, 3 choices. Right now, let's listen in to Anthony Romanucci.
And you also paying homage and justice to Sonya Massey. Before I begin with some remarks, it's undoubtedly that I have to thank some very, very important people who are not here at this microphone, would have played such an integral part in the representation of this fine and great family with the storied history in Sangamon County. First of all, it goes without saying, it's the Massey family. You look at this strength and show of support from everybody, the community, the family and friends, the activists. Thank you so much. It was a tremendous show of force, and we are so grateful. Secondly, the fiercest defender of civil rights in this country that I know, my brother, Benjamin Crump. Thank you, Ben, for everything that you do, not only for the Massey family, but also for our country and defending people's civil rights. The Sangamon County State's Attorney's Office. Wow. They delivered the message to this jury, and their message is the one that the jury said, "We rebuke you, Sean Grayson." That's what they said today. This second-degree murder charge, make no mistake, Sean Grayson is convicted of murder. He is a murderer now. This is not the exact outcome the family was looking for. They wanted first-degree murder. And when you boil this case down, it comes down to 4 words. Was Donna a threat? Sonya. Was Sonya a threat? The unequivocal answer is no. She was not a threat. She was never a threat. And that's what was proven in this court. The difference is that the jury found that there was some issue of self-defense. But his self-defense was not found to be reasonable, and that's the difference between the first and second degree murder. Sean Grayson, we disagree with this. He had the cover of that counter in between him and Sonya. He had the power of a gun. He had the strength of a badge and a shield. And what did he do with that strength and power? He told Sonya, who was holding a pot, "I am going to shoot you in the face." That, ladies and gentlemen, is indicia of intent. And he carried out his intent, and he shot her exactly where he said he was going to. Not anywhere else, but right in the face. And that's where, as much as we respect the jury and this legal process and the courts and his honor for his instructions and his diligence, we still see it as a first-degree murder charge, notwithstanding the respect that we have for the jury and the process. Sean Grayson had cover. Sonya, 110 pounds in a nightgown, a foot shorter than Sean Grayson. God knows how much less she weighed, did not have cover. All she had was a pot of water, and she thanked Sean Grayson before he came in the house for watching out over her home. This was not just a random attack. He knew what he was going to do before he did it. He had the requisite intent. We have some speakers today. We have the family, and I'm so proud and honored of this family. And Summer is here also. Okay. We have Donna, we have James, we have Shantae, and Teresa.
So there must be a family member named Donna.
Teresa is widely known in Sangamon County and Springfield for her advocacy.
What the little girl say? She's upset.
For the citizens and the people of Sangamon County, and I'd like.
What the little girl say? I guess that's her daughter. Maybe I don't know who she is. Donna is somebody in the family.
We still see it down. All she had was a pot of water. He knew what he was going to do before he did it. He had the requisite intent. We have some speakers today. We have the family, and I'm so proud and honored of this family. And Summer is here also. Okay. We have Donna, we have James, we have Shantae, and Teresa Haley is going to speak next. Teresa is.
So she's upset. She said y'all didn't even do what you were supposed to do, but he's not the prosecutor. She's young. She doesn't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sure she's mourning, she's upset about her mom, but I guess there's someone in the crowd in the family named Donna. You know, it happens, guys. Speaking live is not easy. And he's not standing there with cards. He's speaking off the cuff. And there's someone in the family named Donna. I don't know if Donna's, we're going to find out who Donna is in a second. But you know what I'm saying? Like, as someone who has messed up a name or two, a time or two, it happens, it happens. It's not necessarily disregard or lack of respect. Sometimes it's just being human and messing up. You know what I mean? But yeah, looks like the little girl Summer is upset. So maybe she's mad her mom's killer did not get first degree.
It's widely known in Sangamon County.
Hopefully he'll get his full 20.
And everything that she does.
He'll get the full sentence.
The people of Sangamon County. And I'd like to introduce to you now Teresa Haley.
Yes. Good afternoon. Today is a painful day for me and people who look like me, especially black females. As I said in Chicago, we can't call the police and feel safe in our own homes. That's what Sonya did. She called for help, you all, yes. And she was murdered in her own home. This verdict was long overdue. It is not the verdict that we wanted, but he will pay. God will provide. Cancer didn't strike his body just to strike his body. He will pay. Sonya's family continues to suffer. Her children continue to suffer. And people say, hey, the kids got $10 million. What the heck is $10 million when you don't have your mama? They will give back the $10 million to have Sonya back. When we give it back, say her name. Say her name. Say her name. So what we need to do back in Sangamon County, the home of the 1908 race riots, the home where President Obama announced that he was running for president, we have to continue to fight to change the laws because there's no justice. It's just us. And we are tired of standing alone. And we thank our white brothers and sisters and everybody else for coming out and protesting with us. But had the roles been reversed, if there was a black man in a white woman's house, he would have got the death penalty. Well, in Illinois, we got rid of the death penalty, but he would have gotten life in prison. Second-degree murder, that is not right. That is not justice for anybody's family, regardless of who you are and where you come from. So we're going to work extremely hard, not only in Sangamon County, not only in the state of Illinois, but throughout this country to change the laws. People need to understand that there is a major difference between second-degree murder and first-degree murder. I'm talking 40, 50 years difference in sentence. Do y'all know that this man, even though it may be 20 years, he can get out in 10 years? 10 years! Say her name! Say her name! Say her name! Thank y'all. Pray for the family, please.
Anybody who saw the video and thinks that it was Parker's Sonya's fault is inhumane. And for them to not get the life, and Sonya got life and death, he should be under the jail. I can't wait till he goes to hell. I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
James Wilburn.
Her name was Sonya Wilburn Massey. I'm James Wilburn. I'm her father. Sean Grayson should be able to get out of jail. My daughter can get out of that burial vault and walk out of Oakwood Cemetery. And I know that that plot that's waiting for him, he can get to it as soon as he can. And it wouldn't make me any difference at all. But there's a difference in this country when you have my skin color and Grayson's skin color. We need serious justice, not a miscarriage of justice that happened here in Peoria. We need to pass the George Floyd Policing Act. We need to pass the John Lewis Voting Act. We need to make the Sonya Massey law across the whole United States. Then no family in our country can go through what our family has gone through, because this man should have never had a badge and a gun. This man was kicked out of the service. He was in 6 police departments in 3.5 years. That is shameful. Shameful on Sangamon County for even having a person like that, giving him a gun and a badge. And his gun, he had a sight on it. He had a laser sight. So all he had to do was put that laser sight where what he said he was going to do. He said he was going to shoot my daughter in the face, and he did it. He shot 3 times, but even with a laser on and going through a police academy twice, he still only shot her once, which was good enough. But you see, my Judeo-Christian upbringing tells me to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So my joy here today is that I know I'll see my baby again. And whenever the sun opens and Gabriel blows that horn, we're going to leave here and I'll see her again. That's about all I can tell you.
Next, you will hear from Sonya Massey.
You know, I don't really have any speech prepared. I'm fueled by rage right now. You get an officer that says he's going to shoot you in the face, and then he shoots you in the face, and you only get second degree. So the justice system did exactly what it's designed to do today. It's not meant for us, but I tell you what, I will dedicate my life to dismantling the systems that created this problem. The fight has just begun for me. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Say her name! Sonya Massey! Say her name! Sonya Massey! Say her name! Sonya Massey! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! Yes.
Are there any questions?
I'd like to know if the family is concerned about him getting probation.
Look, we can't be concerned about that now. What we do need to be concerned about is that he gets a maximum sentence here. Now, I don't even think that that's a thought in their mind. When you look at the fact that the jury found that his self-defense was unreasonable, we don't even want to think about probation. That's not even a thought. We're looking at maximum sentence. Now that we're here with second-degree murder, we're looking at maximum sentence. Of course not. Of course not. When you look at that video, the video speaks for itself. When the video shows that Sean Grayson, with the cover of a counter and the barrel of a gun, staring at Sonya Massey, said, "If you don't put that down, I'm going to shoot you in the face," and seconds later did it, I think anybody can see that's intent.
For Teresa or Sante, can you talk about what that fight means? Sante talked about what the fight means from here on out.
Well,
what does that mean?
For us, it means justice. It means working with our legislators in Illinois and across the country to change the law. We need to call this a Sonya Massey law. We have a bill in Illinois. Now we need a law regarding second-degree murder. I mean, it was obvious to all of us that this was first-degree murder. There should not have been another option, but there was an option. And now we have to do our part to make a difference and to make a change and make sure that people never forget. Say her name! Sonya Massey! Say her name! Sonya Massey! Say her name! Sonya Massey!
Well, I'll let the family speak, but clearly they had options. They had options here. They had first-degree murder, second-degree murder, and then, of course, the unthinkable. And there was some sort of discussion. There was a fight. I'm not saying a physical fight, but there was some sort of fight as to what it should be. So we don't know what that was. Was there a fight between first and second? Was there a fight between second and something else? We don't know. But ultimately, they settled upon second degree, and we know they deliberated, 11 to almost 12 hours with a week's worth of testimony. That's significant. So there was a lot of discussion in that jury room. James, Donna?
I think that we have to, seriously, because Illinois has been a forerunner with the Sonya Massey bill, but we found out as a family we need to take it further. We have a legislature here in Illinois who is ripe for the kind of change that it should go across the whole United States. And we saw today that there is such a various difference between first degree and second degree. There was no doubt in any of our minds that this was first degree murder. I'm sure there's no doubt in Sean Grayson's mind. But his attorneys were skillful enough that they threw crap against the wall. They said that my daughter was the aggressor. And you give me a 9mm with a laser on it and a pot, I'll take the 9mm any day. That's what Sean Grayson had. I don't know why he was such an evil person. But my daughter said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And see, we believe in Jesus. We do. He's my Lord and Savior. And I know that there'll be justice for Sean Grayson. And it might not be in this world, but it'll be in the next one.
Mr. Wilbur, what was it like for you sitting in the courtroom, hearing the defense attorneys painting Sonya Massey in the way that it is, calling her the aggressor, and ultimately, what was that like for you and for your family watching it?
It is probably the most disgusting and vile video that anybody has ever seen in this country. I don't know, when I think about the George Floyds and the Breonna Taylors and everybody else, the Laquan McDonald's, this truly, I think, shocked the conscience of the court. I think that's why we saw Judge Cadogan rule that he was not going to get any bail. Who gets bail on 3 counts of first-degree murder? And I think State's Attorney Millhiser, he charged this thing properly. He didn't overcharge it. He didn't undercharge it. But the problem is the law here in Illinois. That needs to be changed. So that should have a different option, maybe aggravated murder, something in between. And this looks like it was a compromise verdict more than anything.
Mr. Wilbur, what do you think Sonya would say if she had the chance? At the sentencing,
Max, whatever the max is, not 1 day less than the max.
Mr. Wilbur, what do you think Sonya would say if she could talk?
I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Sonya is the reason why we're here. And the last thing that she would say is, I love you, Daddy. I wear I love you, Daddy on my wrist every day. Because that's the way we ended every conversation, be it in person or on the phone, was I love you, Daddy. Sonya was a daddy's girl.
How would you feel? Let me ask you that. How would you feel if your child was shot in the face and they came back with a second-degree murder conviction? Anybody out here, I can ask the same thing, and you'll say the same thing. It's not justified. It's not. She invoked the name of Jesus, and he got a maximum, or potentially a maximum, of 20
But that's not justice. Richard Pryor said a long time ago, when you go down to a courthouse in this country, you find just us.
That's right.
Just us. That's poor white people, poor black people, poor brown people. There is a thing, it's called white privilege. And if you don't realize it, I'm telling you today, there is white privilege. And that's what this jury verdict came out today. It's all about white privilege.
Attorney, is there anything we could do to change legislation?
What did she mean by it? I mean, I can only speak to what I know. I know that I saw my little sister in fear. Now, what I can say is, in this country, what gets dismissed as a mental health episode in my community is just simple fear. So we see things objectively different. We say that we are afraid. The other side says, well, they have a mental health issue.
But they were being
She was trying to lighten. That's what I saw. I mean, I talk to Sonya every day. So what I saw was somebody that was trying to de-escalate, contrary to what the experts on the defensive side said. She tried to de-escalate the whole situation.
Is there any kind of way we could change the legislation to make sure that we have more balanced jurors? This was definitely an imbalance. We only had one African American. We did have a number of white females. Is there any legislation where we can ensure we have a balanced jury?
So let me say first that a lot of the bills and the laws that we talked about that is in Sonya's name is Senate Bill 1953, which Governor Pritzker signed into law in August of this year. That is on the books. Now we know that that's not enough because there is such a big gap between the sentencing, between the second degree and the first degree murder charge, that we need aggravated murder. We need, because this was an aggravated murder by anyone's definition, if not a first degree murder outright. So we need that. Now, to answer your question, it's supposed to be a jury of your peers. That is the right that we have in a civil and a criminal courtroom, a jury of your peers. I don't know that that was a jury of Sonya's peers. Was it a jury of Grayson's peers? Yes. It was overwhelming, right? It was overwhelming, and who knows the thought process that went into that jury room to achieve this verdict. Now, are there laws? There are ways to combat imbalanced juries. And as an attorney, we try and employ those tactics whenever we can to ensure fairness, because that's what this is supposed to be about. Fairness and accountability and principles. And we stand on our belief that it should have been first degree murder, but we are grateful that there's a conviction of murder here. Now, all right, why don't we take one more question? So go ahead. Yes.
I just want to say thank you to John Milheiser, the state's attorney in Sangamon County. I jokingly say he's my favorite Republican, but I think we need to cross aisles there. I can tell you that John Milheiser did a yeoman's job, and I think he heartily approved that this was first-degree murder. In anybody's mind, we didn't get what we wanted today, and I think that was a serious miscarriage of justice. But Sean Grayson will get his. He'll get his. Thank you, Mary Beth Rogers. You did a great job. Thank you, Sheriff here in Peoria, Chris. Your men did a great job of providing protection for us while we were here. All of you people. I think I just love the people in Illinois, because Illinois is the first state in the country that passed the Sonya Massey law. But I guarantee you, it will not be the last.
Our lawyers, it's not their fault that he got second degree. They fought real hard, and I thank all our lawyers, because they're not in the jury. We can't blame them for that. They did a great job, and I appreciate them. And there's a few other things I want to say, but I can't think right now. And I really thank you guys for coming out and for your support. And I pray that Sean Grayson gets his just reward.
And that's how we're going to end this, folks. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well done.
God bless you.
Wow. I wonder what her dad was her dad a retired police officer or something? He has some sort of shield on, if you see that right there. Maybe her dad was some sort of law enforcement once upon a time. It is horrible. I have a hard time believing that this man invoked that he was scared. I'm like, are you kidding me? He didn't have nothing going on but that job, his gun, and probably going to the gym. This guy was not afraid, and you entered this woman's home. To me, if a police officer is skittish about entering people's homes where you don't have a imminent situation, like some damn robbers just ran through the house, you got somebody who's held hostage, you got a real reason. There was no real reason for them to even enter her home. How are you scared? Why were y'all even in there? It's so many questions. Unfortunately, there's not going to ever be a good answer because everything unfolded, and there's no way to turn the clock back on what unfolded. But there's so many questions and so many things that could have been done differently where this would not have been the outcome. It's just awful. So yeah. But yes, he was actually, while he was still working, he was battling cancer. So he's been dealing with cancer. I don't know what kind of cancer he has. I guess I could find out real quick, but he's had to deal with that at the jail. That's one of the reasons they were trying to get him out, was because he needed to go for his chemo or his treatments, and he couldn't get out. They had to bring the treatments to him, and he's been having to deal with that. Let me see. And I don't know that he's even cancer free. Let's see. Sean Grayson, former Illinois sheriff deputy, recently convicted of second-degree murder, has been diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. His cancer diagnosis was a major component of his legal team's argument to release him from jail, which he did not get. July 6th, the Sangamon County Sheriff Deputy Grayson shot and killed Sonya Massey in her home after she called 911 to report a prowler. August 2024, Grayson's attorney requested his pretrial release. That was denied due to his colon cancer diagnosis, but the judge denied his request, stating he still posed a threat to the community. May 2025, his legal team asked the Illinois Supreme Court to grant him pretrial release, and they said no. During his murder trial, it was noted Grayson appeared to have lost significant amount of weight, an observation possibly linked to his cancer treatment. That was in October. I guess now that people have gotten a chance to get a good look at him. October 29th, the jury found Grayson guilty of second-degree murder in the death. I mean, Sangamon County did pay a settlement to the family. But what they're going to have to do is they're going to just have to get him in his wallet. And I know it's not about money. It's not about money. But when you can't get someone one way, you got to get them another way. Sangamon County had to get into their pocketbook, and he's going to have to serve a sentence, whatever that is. And then they're going to probably just have to take him to court personally. That way, when he gets out with a felony conviction, he's not going to be able to work in law enforcement again. And whatever type of money he's going to be able to earn, I don't know how old he is. Let me see. Whatever money he potentially is able to earn, I would have a settlement, a lien on him so hard that whatever he's making, he's going to have to probably, if he makes $10, he's going to probably have to send them 7. You know what I'm saying? Like they're just going to have to get him so that he has to deal with the error in his ways for the rest of his life. So no, he might not have to deal with it for the rest of his life in jail, but he might have to deal for it the rest of his life, let's say, in not being able to have gainful be in a situation where he's going to be able to come up off of this situation, where he's not going to be able to benefit financially, where he's going to have to cut me a check every time he gets a check. You're gonna have to cut me a check too. You get $10, I get $7. You know what I mean? And I know that that's a lot for the family to have to deal with. Also, if he gets a sentence of, let's say, if there's parole in Illinois, if they give him 20 years with the possibility of parole, the family's going to have to be there at those parole board hearings. They're going to have to talk about the impact. 10 years from now, Summer's going to be a big girl. You know, I don't know if she's 12, 13, whatever, 14. She'll be a young woman at that point, and she'll be able to sit and articulate what losing her mom meant to her. So it's going to be very important moving forward, like we saw with Susan Smith. Was that last year? Sometime this year, I think. That man said until the day he dies, he's going to be there every time she comes up for parole, and he's going to make sure that she doesn't get it, because that lady killed his kids and she's done her time. And it doesn't, she's not, clearly not getting out anytime soon. I mean, she has to come back in 3 years. And he said he's going to be there every time to make sure she doesn't get it. So I don't know if that 20 means 20 or that 20 means, and then we'll review it, see how you did. But keep in mind, he may not have a clean 20. He might get into trouble. He might join one of those gangs. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what he's going to do when he gets into jail, girl. He might not make it, right? The sir has stage 3 cancer, and there's other factors at play. So we don't really know what's going to happen to this man. Anyway, very bad. What's the earliest? I don't know. They haven't even given him his sentence yet. He'll be sentenced in January. I think once he's sentenced, then we could talk about that, but we don't even know. We don't even know what he's going to get. He's second degree, and they have a leeway of 4 to 20 years. So they're asking for the max, and we're going to see what the judge decides to do. He can't keep up with the gang drag that girl dragging that colostomy bag. Absolutely. So we're going to see how this goes. Okay. Yeah, I think he's going to have to sit with this. I don't know what made him think. I mean, just like Mr. Wilburn stated, he got to use the excuse. I mean, where is a man ever going to stand up and say they were afraid of a woman and people are going to take them seriously? Most men won't even say something like that. But he was right. I mean, he was right. If it had been a black officer in the house with a middle-aged white woman in her long silky robe, and in the same situation just like that, because she didn't have body armor on her, she didn't have on anything threatening, she had on lounging clothes, it would have been a very different thing. And I don't think that man would have been, I don't think that man at any way, shape, or form, if this was like a role reversal type situation where there could be a man who would state that they were afraid and someone actually buy it. If they really bought that he felt threatened, it really is a judgment on the impression of what they think Black people bring. I don't know. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, that's really believable that that guy who looked like he was at CrossFit every day was afraid of that lady when he directed her to go to her kitchen and go handle that pot. How was he afraid when he told her to go do it? That just doesn't make any sense. I would have been the one they would have been mad at in the jury room, because I'd be like, that just doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry. He told her to go get the pot. Now we're trying to validate whether he was really afraid. He wasn't afraid. If he was afraid, he would have turned off the pot. He would have said, excuse me, ma'am, let me go ahead and turn this off. Can you step over here for me for a second? Let me go to the kitchen and let me turn off the stove. It's a pot of water. Nothing, the house is not going to burn down. He said something about the house burning down because there was a pot of water on the stove, which was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. The whole thing was awful. Though, but I keep going back to they should never have even been in the house. It was not that type of call for service. They should have never even been in the home. And they knew who she was because she'd already called for service. And if they were able to look at the service call or ask dispatch, she probably had already been ID'd earlier in the day. It's a mess. Anyway, y'all, I can't. Let's see. He used a Karen excuse. He basically Karen'd it. And how are you afraid? And you've got your cohort right there with you. Can the family sue his estate so after he dies from colon cancer, they can take his life insurance? We don't know that he has life insurance. I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, I guess they could sue an estate if he technically had an estate, but I think he was like in his 30s. I don't know that he has children. He got fired from his job, so any insurance he might have had through his job was a term policy. I don't know if there's anything there. Let's see. I mean, that's a good question, but I don't think he's going to have anything. It wasn't giving like planning, that there was any sort of planning. Sean Grayson age. Girl, he's 31 years old. And when did he get fired? 31 years old. With stage 3 cancer, and he had that back when he joined the team, joined that particular service unit, that particular police department. He probably only had insurance based on his job status. I don't think he has any. I'm going to just go on a limb and say I don't think he has any. They have a whole timeline here. Yeah. Anyway, guys, I'm going to let you guys go. We'll get more caught up tomorrow. This was a bad situation. I'm happy for the family that they do get some sort of resolve. It's not what they were looking for. But you know, growing up, you know, if you're my age or older, we've seen situations where there have been clear cases of miscarriage of justice, and at least this is some sort of a win. But when Mr. Wilburn put it in the same context, if this had been like two black cops in a white lady's condo or apartment, and they would have had the nerve to even say they were scared, baby, that would have gone absolutely nowhere. That would have gone nowhere fast. Not to mention, I mean, it just never would have happened. I don't see that happening. But Grayson was a hothead, and he had a history of making poor choices and having problems at work. And he just never should have been somebody who was entrusted with a firearm and to make decisions with the public. He was mishired for this type of a job. This was not a job for him, and it was unfortunate. And that's why, unfortunately, the taxpayers had to pay for that hiring error. That's another mistake that the people have to pay for. But yeah, it's unfortunate. I feel sorry for the family, and I can understand why they're mad. It is a better than nothing type situation, but it's an opportunity so that people can actually kind of sit with that and see, like, you got to do better. In the event that, God forbid, something like this happens again, can we please do a little bit better? Can we ask for the same type of justice that you would want if something happened to your family member? So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure if there was a family member who was a law enforcement officer, but I don't think it helped very much. If it did, it didn't save him from not being a convicted murderer. That's for sure. And having to sit his behind in jail. I wanted to talk about a couple of things because some other things happened today, but after that news report, I just cannot. It's a little bit too disturbing. I feel really bad for the family, and the kids and everything. It was a decent outcome, but it wasn't the outcome. So, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that they didn't get full justice, right? He got on that stand and tried to justify everything from the reports I heard. The fact that he thought that he was going to get up on the stand and was going to explain. Oh, so he got like well, see, that's what happens when you get a hookup. People need to stop hooking people up, because you know what? If he was hired, if there were factors that would have made him not eligible for hire and he was hired anyway, that's why that may explain why they had to cut a $10 million check. You know what I'm saying? Hello? I mean, if you can't validate why you have 10 people who were, because what they're going to do is they're going to audit and they're going to pull all those applications, interviews, and process of how people got hired. And if Sir got hired without this check or that check, or he scored this, but he should have scored that, or did someone check his references, or his references said this, but we still moved him to the next level? How did he get through? How did he get past stage 2 with this? That's why they cut that check. If that's the case, that's why they cut that check. They couldn't do anything. He shouldn't have been there. If that's the case, then that's why it cost them some money. Because at the end of the day, if he had never been there, then Ms. Massey would still be alive, right? So that explains the cutting of the check, or one of the reasons, that maybe he was hired outside of the parameters of what a normal hire would be. He may have been disqualified based on a couple of factors, but he got in anyway. And then on top of the fact that he was negligent, um, and his negligence was also a direct result of hiring someone who never should have been qualified at that point. Well. Well, people always love to say somebody had it in for them. Someone didn't like them. The boss was a dick. That men say that all the time. That's their, oh, my boss was a dick. He didn't like me, or, I don't know. I was getting a divorce. People use the craziest reasons for why they left a job. I could come up with about 25 different reasons that I'm just like, that okay. Like, ranging from I can't believe you just told me that to that's irrelevant. That's the reason you lost a job. But knowing, you know what I mean? Some of that information is not anything you can use to make a hiring decision other than you stupid. I think he lied on his application, work history, etc. But his father-in-law hired him or something like that. Was he married? I thought he was single. Let's see. And Sonya Massey was only 36. Was Sean Grayson married? Former Sangamon County was married to Alexia Grayson, formerly Pritchford, and divorced in 2015. Well, damn, he must have got married really early. So 10 years ago he was married, so he got married at 21. Citing extreme and repeated acts of mental cruelty. Okay. The divorce proceeding in the split, his ex-wife was granted right to return to her maiden name, Pritchford. At the time of his trial for the murder of Sonya Massey, July 2024, Grayson was engaged to Isabel Butterfield, a nurse practitioner. Their wedding had been reportedly set for October 24. Girl, what is Miss Butterfield doing now? Miss Butterfield better had found herself somebody else. Isabel Butterfield, what you doing now? Let's see. Y'all, we're being nosy with this news. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Hold on. Isabel Butterfield. Girl, she dodged a bullet on this one. She's a nurse practitioner specializing in family medicine. I only see professional stuff. We're not going to bother. Hopefully she got her good sense and separated herself from that clown. She's a nurse practitioner. Hopefully she doesn't want to have anything to do with a murderer. I'm sure her family is like, sis, move on. Thank you, Brother Brown. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay. You guys like that nosiness. Okay. Ooh. Nosy news report. Okay. You guys are silly. Okay. There was a story about Sandra went to the facility the fiance worked at. Oh, really? That was where she was frequenting for medical assistance? Mm. All right, you guys, I'm gonna cut this one down. Uh, we'll get back into it tomorrow. I'm probably gonna be here early in the morning because I do want to do the Nesto video. That we didn't get a chance. The one when he went and stole the coffee out at the convenience store. Yes, I said stole. We'll talk about that in at lunchtime. I missed y'all today at lunch, so my bad. But tomorrow I got some stuff because Darnell Jones went to court. The father, the quote unquote, I'm gonna say quote unquote until they tell me a DNA test was done. I'm gonna still say quote unquote because I halfway don't believe that that's her daddy. But um, Darnell Jones out of Lucas County, Toledo, was in court today. They have 4 motions to suppress that are pending. Um, I pulled all the motions to suppress, and baby, I couldn't even do them justice tonight. I could not after reading all that damn story time last night. But they are, and which we're not going to probably read all of them, but we'll get into what the motions to suppress are. Also, it is coming out that he does want to put in a insanity plea. Okay. It doesn't mean that he's going to get off, but keep in mind this is a capital murder case, the murder of Kamani Lateeg, and he could be facing the death penalty. And if he goes with a insanity defense, that may save him from potentially getting death, considering that some of the things that he did, nobody in their right mind would do. And he has a bipolar diagnosis and all of the things. He's got, isn't it schizophrenic too? He's got some things. So it's a lot going on. So he had court today. Jarvis had court today. Surprise, surprise. Jarvis stays in court. Jarvis Butts. He's in court today. Darnell was in court today. And Sir, Mr. Shaka Johnson. Do you guys want to watch that before we go? Shaka Johnson was over there on the news again talking. I get allegedly the family of Kada Scott would like for him to resign from Keon's case, which I'm just thinking to myself, really? Is he supposed to be some sort of like activist attorney or something? Like I don't know. Maybe they're just surprised that he would take that case, or I don't know what the reasoning is. I almost don't believe it, but allegedly there's some sort of talk that the Scott family has asked for him to withdraw as Keon King's attorney. I don't know. I just don't believe that. So anyway, we can do that in the morning. I'm gonna let y'all go. Hey, Warren. Hey to everybody. If you're late coming in, slide the bar back. We'll get into all of that in the morning. We'll get the rest of the catch up done in the morning. We'll probably have to do Darnell by itself because there's a bunch of motions and there was some video from today in court. But I'll get y'all caught up on everything else in the morning. Okay. All right. You guys have a wonderful evening. If you missed last night, go and check it out because the document, the transcript reading was super interesting because there was no chance in hell that if you're following the case, that when that actually happened, that you would have known all of that stuff happened because it was so disruptive. the bit of footage that was available. It was so hard to put all of that together. So thankfully we had the written word and went through it all last night and got a complete understanding of why Nesto is on some shut the fuck up now. Okay. If you were wondering why Nesto is trying desperately to not talk about his case, it's because they read all his rights in that hearing. And if he didn't know, he knows now that they're listening to all the calls. They know who everybody is, and they clocked all of his tea on in that particular hearing. That was good. That he needed to hear all of that. I'm so glad that he was there for that conversation, because that was a conversation that needed to be heard. And hopefully Sonya tuned in last night and heard everything, because she needed to hear that too. Okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. You guys have a wonderful evening. Hit the thumbs up for me. Which hearing? It was it was the hearing that took place on, it was when Shirley testified. The date, why am I not seeing this? The 11th day of August, 2025 at 9 o'clock. Okay. At 9 o'clock. We did the official reading of the 11th of August, 2025. You can see that from last night. If you missed it, it's posted from last night. We read it's 3.5 hours. It took us all that time it was 117 pages in earnest. And we read the whole entire thing. Okay. Anyway, guys, I will see y'all tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening. Aren't you so glad? Look at StreamYard. Look at that. Look at what it's like. Finally, StreamYard. Thank you for fixing this. If you didn't notice, did you notice how big it is now? Isn't that awesome? Look at that. Well, yeah, that's the one that we saw the little bit of Shirley testify, but apparently there was like a couple hours of testimony between Shirley, a investigator, and then actually the arguing of the points by the two attorneys, by Wooten and Hoover. We got our names back instead of the @ signs. I'm sure it'll mess up again. Anyway, you guys have a good evening. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good night, you guys. Bye.